Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing the front pages of the papers. We are in the Daily Sun.
Yeah, so the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, has boasted that the achievements of the President, Bola Tinubu, in 2 years has relatively superseded other administrations. He made the assertion during his address at his 2025 Voice of Nigeria Forum in Abuja yesterday. And according to him, the government last week commenced the celebration of the second anniversary of President Tinubu's administration with ample proof of his monumental positive impact, creating room for prosperity and progress. In fact, he says no government has achieved what the Tinubu administration has achieved in the last 2 years. He says if you are in doubt, please check all the successes that the Tinubu administration has been able to achieve in just 2 years. And this is just at its midpoint of his first 4 years in the first instance. So the first courage of the Tinubu administration, he says, was to remove the fuel subsidy, the forex racket, and then the massive investment in rural infrastructure. He says some days ago, the president commissioned the first 30-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal highway. We also have the Sokoto-Badagry highway that transverse across 17 states down to the south. In a statement of our unity by connecting people, the 73 dams are also coming along that corridor, which provide opportunities for power generation and agriculture and will create more jobs for people. He said there's also unprecedented student loan scheme, consumer credit cooperation, presidential initiative on compressed natural gas, a tax reform bill, and many more. He explained that the starting point of Tinubu's administration was rough and challenging, but after the challenges, the country is looking bright because Tinubu is steering, the ship to prosperity, and the prices of food are dropping. So he said the implementation of local government autonomy also was facilitated by the Tinubu establishment of the Ministries of Regional Development and Livestock Development, which were also efforts to provide development across the country. He went ahead, reeling out all the achievements that was done or being done by this administration in just 2 years, and saying that no other administration could boast of achieving this in this short space of time, but that there's more that will be coming. The renewed hope agenda is what we should be looking forward to.
Okay. Do you have a story there? No. Okay, so I have the story on the House of Rep. The National Assembly has initiated a probe into a 5% user charge on the pump price of petrol and diesel in the Federal Road Maintenance Agency Act. So there's a new act. In the statement, the FEMA Act 2007 provides a 5% user charge on pump price of petrol and diesel, of which 40% will be accrued to FEMA and 60% to be utilized by the State Road Maintenance Agency. I do not know why are roads looking the way they are. Speaking yesterday at the public hearing organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, has affirmed that non-implementation of the 5% charge was due to the unavailability of modalities for the collection of the funds. So it is in the Act, but the Act just did not give the details of how the funds be collected. So the chairman of that committee has stated that the implementation of that 5% charge would go down in history as one of the achievements of the 10th House of Representative. I'm wondering if we are already paying it, but it was not remitted, or they will now start charging us 5%. That's I've not been able to. The current press release doesn't contain that. All it contains is the fact that the president is probing that. The House of Rep is probing that 5%. The Minister for Works, Mohammed Idris, said that under the visionary leadership of the president, they would, in the renewed up agenda, they would foster economic growth and all of that stuff. But still, we are not addressing if that act had ever been implemented in any form, or we are now going to be imposing a 5% additional levy on the cost of fuel and petrol and diesel going forward. That I'm sure Nigerians will want to clarify. Moving on to Vanguard, major headline: Niger flood, 1,249 communities in 30 states, FCT at risk. That's from the federal government. Says no water was released from Kainji, Jeba Dam. Noted that flood was caused by heavy rainfall heightened by global warming as states take up federal government's challenge. In other news, federal government saved 12 million girls from cervical cancer in 9 months. That's from the First Lady. USSD charges telcos threaten to withdraw services over banks' misinformation. Insecurity, Tinubu Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating Navy. Anti-kidnapping protest on easy calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka. And Chief of Army Staff Oluyede relocates to Benue with the PSOs. All right, so
okay,
so
I have
so I have the cervical cancer story. They said the first lady, that's Senator Oluremi Tinubu, on Tuesday said that the Nigerian government has shown that it is possible to eliminate cervical cancer by 2030. Noting that in 2024 it made a breakthrough by launching the HPV nationally, thereby protecting over 12 million girls in just 9 months. And she also said that the success was led by the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, with support from global partners. She also said that she has made a passionate appeal to development partners, private sector players, non-governmental organizations and academic institutions to commit their resources, expertise and innovation to the national campaign to eliminate cervical cancer. She says cervical cancer is a silent killer and one that strikes hardest at the most vulnerable women. Yet this is a cancer that is preventable. You know, I just remember that my daughter recently, she went to collect, she said, because you can start collecting the vaccine from 9 years. So if you haven't collected or your daughter has not collected,
it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
I'm afraid
that's
of all
amazing.
those vaccines, I beg. Come on.
Prevention is better.
At least any cancer
introduce
that
the
has
thing that we're not
vaccine
causing.
that
Moving on to another story that we have. What's happening in Abraka?
Okay, she has a story.
I have a story. So the telecom operators in Nigeria, including MTN, Airtel, Globalcom, and 9 Mobile, have threatened to withdraw network support for banks' unstructured supplementary services data, that's the USSD, following what they described as gross misinformation of subscribers on mode of deduction of transaction fees. So as we know, USSD, commonly known as bank transfers, is done through short codes on mobile phones. And the banks yesterday issued a notice to customers that the NCC has directed them to stop deducting charges for USSD transactions directly from customers' accounts, and adding that charges will now be deducted by the telecoms from users' mobile airtime. So the notice from the banks, this is how it, well, let me not read it, to just go, because this was June 3rd. So going forward, they're saying that going forward, these charges will be deducted directly from your mobile airtime balance, Now, the telecoms are upset. They said, swiftly reacted, is how it was put. They said, they spoke under their umbrella body, the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, ALTON. They said the bank's notice is a gross misinformation, deliberately hatched to suit their selfish interests. And therefore, they have threatened to withdraw the network support. They said, I don't understand why the banks are twisting agreements and distorting information just to favor their selfish interests. In the first place, the information wasn't a directive from NCC, but a joint regulatory agreement between NCC and CBN, witnessed by telcos and banks. The agreement was that if banks finally cleared all USSD debts owed the telcos by June 2nd, 2025, they are free to migrate to the end-user billing method, so long as the model of migration is transparent and agreed by telcos. The reason for that clause was because telcos insisted that the process of migration is such that would not allow a customer to be billed twice. In other words, that a subscriber would not have his airtime deducted and also have his or her money deducted for the same service from his or her bank. They say as we speak, some of the banks have cleared their debts, but majority are yet to do so.
They have to clear
Even if all the modalities of migrating to end-user billing have been perfectly carried out, the implementation cannot even begin because the banks are yet to clear the USSD debts to telcos. So the story.
Is there technicality?
Yeah.
I don't know about technically. So why are you doing like this?
When the ones that are going to suffer this one, since yesterday I've been struggling to
keep your eyes on what is
buy
happening
data with the USSD code.
Oh,
yes, they don't block everything. They vex.
Oh wow.
Do we have time for my
yes,
story?
Abraka, what's happening
so
there?
there's a silence in Abraka community. That's my university state. Delta State yesterday, they said there was hostility on Monday between residents protesting the endless kidnapping happening in the area. And security agents now came to quell the protest and opened fire. You know, so the residents were really upset, saying that the reason they came was to see how they could solve the problem of kidnapping. They've been kidnapping people, kidnapping students. You know, it's a university town, kidnapping students, and then they decided to now do a peaceful protest to say, security agencies are supposed to protect us here. You now come, you are more interested in, you know, telling them to go, dispersing the people that are protesting. So they didn't find it funny. Trust the commander of police in a leading squad of the policeman, that's the commissioner of police in Delta State. He spoke up against it. He has said that they are going to look into the matter, trying to calm everybody down. The SUG president also spoke up and said that they are going to give like the police, security agencies an ultimatum, let them do something about the kidnapping that's happening in the town, or else they would, you know, go into the street and do more protests. But they need to, that's a university town. They need to, you cannot send your child to school and then you're afraid that you end up paying ransom.
Yeah, would also hold the governor up. You see, the thing is, we need to, like we've been saying since we've been talking about this second year, we need to be holding governors accountable. When things go wrong in your state, before we go to president, let's hold governor. Before we go to IGP, let's go to Commissioner of Police. Nigerian Tribune is our final paper for today. I'll just read the headlines. We'll be taking in story. Benue killings. Army chief moves in, deploys more troops and logistics. Man falls from cocoa house topmost floor. Ouch. Then we've taken the story on USSD banking charges to be deducted from airtime, and Nigeria's 1 trillion ambition at risk without policy stability. That's from the chairman of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Mokwa flood. Federal government blames climate change and unregulated buildings. Damage is devastating. That's from the Niger State governor. Once again, our heart goes out to all of those affected, and we really pray for them because it doesn't look good. I'm not sure. Economic reforms, painful but necessary, and they had the picture of the president in between Bill Gates and guess who? Aliko Dangote.
That's also his best friend. Anyway.
Yes, the outside.
Bill Gates is also his best.
Yes, so
hey,
well, hey. We need to make this. That's what our hot topic. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll go into our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Let's make money so that you be my best friend, billionaire best friend, billionaire best friend.
We need to be best friends.
Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.